Dad are getting back together.
We're hiding from you so you don't kill her.
And instead of doing that, will you just go away? Aren't there like infinite timelines?
No matter what Rick does to try to consolidate his power, he's learning about the futility of it. There's always going to be something that's going to get in the way.
I brought this here to kill Jerry.
Oh my
Jesus
God.
Christ!
You win, Jerry. You win!
Jerry went on a journey this season and really worked on himself and became a better person, and that was personified in that moment when he wanted to recreate the innocence of Jerry and Beth's first date instead of just taking advantage of a confused Beth.
You know me, inside and out. Do what you have to do.
In the course of doing that, they reconnect, and she's convinced these feelings she had for Jerry are real.
His stupidity allows for concepts like romance. He loves me. Only an idiot could love me.
The love of Beth and Jerry has somehow trumped all of the shit Rick does and is the culmination of a season that started with Rick saying, "Nobody fucks with me, I destroyed your marriage on purpose."
Jerry is back where he belongs and happily, and everyone wants him to be there, and it's Rick who's out of step with the family.
What? No, she's not a clone!
Now the real question in the episode is Beth a clone or isn't she? You know, Rick is repeatedly asked to answer that question, but everybody knows that Rick can't necessarily be honest.
And we're hiding from you so you don't kill her.
If she's a clone, so don't look for us.
Morty's putting his foot down and saying, you go on from here, you become a spin-off, you go find a new Morty and you start over. But without this instance of me.
Nobody gets it. Nothing you think matters.
What we see is that Rick concedes, and he actually bothers to put effort into a stupid relationship with a dumb president, thereby committing to this timeline.
There's your stupid hat, dipshit.
Dad, you can't talk to Jerry that way anymore. We're a real family now.
Rick is now the lowest status person in the family and can't do anything about it. The real question mark going into the next season is, when you're bragging that your family is great and everything's gonna be streamlined, what stories are we gonna tell that makes people like that get upset?
And most importantly, we get to pop in on Mr. Poopy Butthole. We see he's doing pretty good. He's got a wife, he's got a little kid, seems to be in pretty good health. I think he's off the meds. We've got a real problem, epidemic in this country with pharmaceutical addiction, so it's good to see that he's curbed that issue. It's pretty nice. I really like that character and I'm really happy for him. And we're gonna probably check in with him again later on. You mark my words.
See ya for season 4 in like a really long time.
Hey everybody, so we got a first little teaser for season 4, some of the ideas for where the conflict might flow from. So even though it doesn't sound like they said a whole lot, there actually have been some indicators for where that's going to come from. So this will just be a breakdown of that. So if you're finding me for the first time, we'll be doing Rick and Morty during the off season until season 4 gets here. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. There'll be giveaway stuff at the end of the video too. And it's New York Comic Con week, so I'll explain what's going on with that. There's some extra special stuff happening. But one of the great things, and they sort of call it out in this video, is the idea that Rick became the villain of season 3, but because he's not a true villain, he came back from that. Like when they walk the tightrope of turning him into Jigsaw during episode 4, it becomes this really funny thing, but for a little while, he actually does seem like a legit villain, way worse than somebody like World Ender, who's actually supposed to be a real villain.
You break the rules, lose the game, or try to leave, you will die. Like in Saw. Well, I think we've seen enough. I'll just figure out how to unplug it.
The real question being, why doesn't Rick do as Morty says and just go to a different reality and pick up with a different Morty and start over again? And I think that's because this version of the family is really special to him, but because he sort of called himself out as being on the spectrum and he's an alcoholic, he has trouble processing emotion in other people, so he has a lot of trouble fitting in social situations, and B, because of the alcoholism, is prone to violent mood swings, which the show mostly uses for comedy, but in reality, that's actually a pretty damaging thing to try and be in a relationship with an alcoholic like that. Like imagine you had a nice adventure with someone and everything ended up okay, and then after the fact, they got super drunk and came into your bedroom in the middle of the night and put a knife at your throat, then passed out.
You're a good kid, Morty.
Jeez.
You're a good kid.
Oh my God. What the hell?
That's part of the reason why maybe clone Beth goes back to Jerry, because she recognizes the idiotic simplicity in him and how much she needs that and why she fell in love with him in the first place. You silly, simple, uncomplicated man. because she's like the midpoint between Rick and Jerry, like that high-functioning genius person who's just completely out of control in the most basic, simple person you could possibly imagine. So by the end of the season, she's gotten to the point where she's questioned her own reality, she's swinging into Rick territory, and she swings back into Jerry territory just to balance herself out. Like, she needs him in a really messed up way, and she understands that, and that's part of the equilibrium of their family. Like, you wonder how this family could possibly exist with all the things that happen, but they just balance each other out, and that's part of the charm of it. And so the actual real problem that the writers have now is that they've sort of gotten rid of the cosmic threats, like they've gotten rid of the Federation, they've dealt with the internal conflict that they're having, like they're saying, okay, we're a family again, we're back to season 1. Rick is no longer trying to destroy their family, so where is the actual conflict going to come from? The show always does a really good job of balancing comedy, drama, and science fiction, and you can't have drama without conflict. During season 1, you actually did have the threat of the Federation. So even though there wasn't so much of an internal threat initially, you still had like this big overarching cosmic threat. So at some point at the beginning of season 4, they either have to introduce a new cosmic threat, which I think they already have in someone like Evil Morty, and a new internal threat. So really when the writers are saying, your family is great and everything's going to be streamlined, what's the threat? The threat to the family is somebody who loves chaos. The show actually does have a couple characters like that, like Evil Morty is probably the best example, but going all the way back a couple seasons, like they said, they don't want to shackle an entire season to him.
And I think when we want to come back to something really cool like Evil Morty, I want to make sure I know what's his motivation, what's his backstory, what's going on, and it has to be inspired and it can't be forced. And it can't be joyless.
Yeah, I mean, you want it to come from a place. You don't want it to circumscribe your narrative. You don't want to draw pen in the whole show with an Evil Morty narrative. You want if Evil Morty comes back, he should be more like Aberdolf Linkler, and it's like, oh, I remember him.
So when he came back this year, it was really just like a one-off thing. Like it was just episode 7, and then a couple mentions, a couple Easter eggs, but that's really it. So if previous experience is any indicator that when Evil Morty comes back, he'll still have some really evil plan, but it's not like he's going to be in every single episode. So I feel like the only thing you can do without just going straight back to Evil Morty or Tammy and Bird Person is to just have Rick slowly slide back into his old habits, like this equilibrium that they achieve in this episode, to slowly devolve back into what you saw over the course of season 1. But maybe not right away. Like they'll probably pick up in episode 1 with the like bickering that they have in those first couple of episodes way back. Like if you rewatch season 1, it took them a couple episodes to find the format of the show, but they always did do a good job with these family scenes. It's just the difference in the way they structured the stories that changed from season 1 to season 2.
Hold on a second, Rick. You wouldn't by any chance have some sort of crazy science thing you could whip up that might help make this dog a little smarter, would you?
I thought the whole point of having a dog was to feel superior, Jerry. If I were you, I wouldn't pull that thread.
Like they've gotten to the point where they do a much better job of weaving the A story and the B story together. Like you used to have the A story, which was the adventure that Rick and Morty would go on. That was the sci-fi story. Then you would have the B story, which was sort of whatever was going on with the family in each episode. So I don't think that the types of stories that they tell is going to change. I think they'll just feel like a single story with a bunch of different threads that work together a little bit better than they have in previous seasons. I know there are all kinds of Christmas episode conspiracy theories. The writers have shot down Christmas this year. The odds now are if there's going to be a Christmas episode per Mr. Poopy Butthole, then it would have to be next Christmas. But I actually don't think it's going to take them that long to get it out. I think they're just giving themselves that much time so that if down the road something happens and there is a delay, fans don't come back and say, hey, wait a minute, you said it was going to come out way earlier than this, and get way pissed off at them. But if we do get any legit production updates, I'll just include them in any bonus videos that I do. So there'll be some new Rick and Morty in the next couple days. If you have any special requests, just leave them in the comments below. It's New York Comic Con this weekend, so there's going to be a whole bunch of comic book trailers and related stuff dropping. I'll do videos for as much stuff as possible. Big Justice League trailer on Sunday, though. That's probably the biggest one. There's a new round of that Zen Monkey Studios merch giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video. Congratulations to the winner from the last video, Jedi Owl. Please private message me so I can get your contact details. You can click here for my other Season 4 video, and you can click here for brand new Flash footage. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.